The next 24 hours could have huge ramifications for five Middlesbrough players with regards to their future at the club. The Teessiders are taking on Doncaster Rovers in the Carabao Cup first round at the Riverside Stadium on Tuesday evening, in a match which could go a long way to deciding the fate of a number of players in that first team squad. Now, Rob Edwards has already spoken to the media. He said that he plans to make a number of changes to his starting 11 for this clash at the Riverside. He said that he won't be making wholesale changes, but I've had a little go at predicting the team that I think will be playing at the Riverside against Doncaster. And you can see here from the 11 that are appearing in this graphic here, so there'll be four survivors, in my opinion, from the team who started against Swansea City. So those four players are Alfie Jones, Dale Fry, Sammy Silvera at left wing back, and Callum Britton at right wing back. Now, a lot of those players playing are largely, it's down to continuity, yes, but it's also down to a lack of options, really, a lack of senior options in those positions. We do have young players who could potentially come into the starting 11, and I personally would love to see a number of them given an opportunity. Players like George McCormack or Luke Woolston are all players who've featured in pre-season. They could be given a run out, potentially off the bench, but for me, those four players are likely to start in the 11, and that means that Middlesbrough will be making 7 changes to the 11 to give other players an opportunity. Now, when you look at that team there, you can see some of them are players who haven't played a huge amount of first team football. You look at people like Abdoulaye Kante, who came off the bench against Swansea City at the weekend. He's someone who's only just arrived. He's already proven to be a really popular player with supporters, given the reception that he got at the Riverside. He's someone who I expect to play a really big role for Middlesbrough this season. And for me, Doncaster could be the perfect opportunity for him to come into the team and really show what he can do from the start. Really get a good amount of minutes under his belt in English football, which could serve him really, really well moving forward. Neto Borges is another one. He was unfortunate not to be named in the starting 11 against Swansea City. He's a massive part of Middlesbrough's first team plan, so I expect him to be given a start from during the game at the Riverside Stadium. Law McCabe is another one who featured heavily in pre-season, someone who was expected to have a really big campaign at the Riverside this term, and so this could be a perfect opportunity for him to come into central midfield alongside Kante. But if you look at some of the other players in the team, there are a few players who have big question marks next to their name with regards to what the future will hold for them and whether they'll still actually be with Middlesbrough come the end of the summer transfer window. So Tom Glover is one that springs off the page straight away. So in recent days, he's been heavily linked with a move away from the club. There's been reported interest from Saudi Arabia, and reports from Teesside Live suggests that it's unclear whether that interest is actually genuine. It may well be. But at the moment, there's been no club-to-club contact with Middlesbrough and the club in Saudi Arabia, which means that he is a player who does have a bit of a question mark over his future at the club. He is second choice to Sol Brynn at the moment. He's an experienced player, someone who is very clearly wanting to play first-team football. He's got aspirations of playing for Australia at the World Cup, and so for him, it's going to be a really, really important year. Is he going to be happy sitting on the bench all season? Probably not. So this could be a really good opportunity for him, if selected, to go out there and put in a good performance and maybe attract some interest to secure a move away from Middlesbrough come the end of the window. We've mentioned about the back three. I think they sort of speak for themselves. We've also got the wing backs, which I think kind of speaks for themselves, just in terms of the lack of support, lack of options that we've kind of got there. I think Luke Ayling, for example, will probably be rested. I think his game time will need to be managed a little bit in terms of his recent injuries. Left wing back Alex Bangura is injured, so Sammy Silvera should probably be given a chance to start there. Can try and kind of continue the positive run of form that he had during pre-season, because he's just absolutely on fire at the moment, and it's really great to see him doing well. So it'll be great to see him stay in the team. Kante and McCabe, central midfield, that's a great opportunity for those two to impress. But it's the front three really who you're looking at as another few players who could be playing for their future at the club. Dropping into midfield, we've got Law McCabe, who, yes, I think he's got a big role to play at Middlesbrough this season. I think it's his opportunity to play first-team football with the club, but this will go a long way to deciding whether he's part of Rob Edwards' plans this season or whether he's potentially more suited to going out on loan. He needs to play first-team football this season. The question mark over him is not whether he's a player who has a future at Middlesbrough, but whether his short-term future is going to be at Middlesbrough. So this could go a long way to deciding that for Law McCabe. That makes him the second player who is potentially playing for his future. In terms of the front three, Sonny Finch is a player who's very highly rated at the club. He had a few injury problems last season, and so maybe didn't get the amount of minutes that he was sort of hoping for. Similar to Law McCabe, he needs to be playing first team football this season. It seems so far quite unlikely that that's going to come in Middlesbrough's first team. It seems like he's not really close enough to Middlesbrough's attacking options at the moment in terms of pressing for a place in the first team. He could potentially, as a result of that, be playing out on loan over the course of this campaign. So this could be a good opportunity for him to showcase his talents against a side like Doncaster, to show what he's capable of. He did it against Hartlepool a week or so back, got a goal in that game and was quite impressive. So that's one that will be interesting to keep an eye on. Mika Hamilton is another player who is desperately playing for his future. He's had a season with Middlesbrough now and hasn't really showed the sort of quality that he showed at Man City. For me, he started well in pre-season. He sort of faded away as it went on. And so, again, he's another player who could well be playing for his role in Rob Edwards' squad this season. He is someone who may well be in a position where he's heading out on loan. He may well be a backup player this season, but this match could go a long way to deciding what's going on with him. Marcus Force is another one who a lot of people have sort of been talking about as a potential player who could leave on a permanent basis. Obviously, he's not a young man. He is someone who is probably going to be wanting to play regular first team football, and I just don't really see where he fits in Middlesbrough's system at the moment. He's not really a natural wide player. He's not someone who really provides a huge amount for me. Coming off the right flank in that position that Morgan Whittaker plays, I don't think he's potent enough as a number 9. Middlesbrough are going out to try and find another striker to challenge Tommy Conway. So it does feel like Marcus Force is possibly someone who's dispensable. And so this could be an opportunity for him to earn a move elsewhere. Two players who aren't involved in this at 11, who probably should be, but it's just a case of finding where they would sort of fit in this team, are Dan Barlaser and Alex Gilbert as well. Dan Barlaser is someone who it seems like the writing might be on the wall with regards to his Middlesbrough future. We do have a couple of young midfield options now in Kante and McCabe, so you could argue that Dan Barlaser is currently the 5th choice at Middlesbrough in central midfield. Of course, we've got the question mark over Hayden Hackney's future, so he could be bumped up to number 4 in that situation. But again, for Dan Barlaser, it may be that the next couple of weeks are about finding a move away. Alex Gilbert, he could possibly be in this 11 as well, but again, he's someone who isn't really in the mix for replacing the starting 11, and so I firmly expect him to leave before the end of the summer transfer window. Whether that's on loan or whether it's on a permanent basis, he's a player who's not as young as the likes of Law McCabe. He's someone who does need to start playing regular first team football. He went to Charlton last season, didn't really nail down a place in their team, but they were on absolute fire in League One as they challenged for promotion. So he's someone who also needs to play regular first team football, and he could well be in the mix. He will likely be in this starting 11 who could be starting against Doncaster. So there's a lot of players who are going into this match with a real point to prove. I always find the first round of the Carabao Cup a really interesting watch. Yes, the matches are sometimes a little bit substandard. There's not really a huge amount of jeopardy, I guess, in them, because if Middlesbrough get knocked out, it's not the end of the world, but it always goes a long way to kind of deciding what will happen with the squad with some of these fringe players desperate to make an impression. So this is the team that I've picked going into this match against Doncaster Rovers. I'm probably wrong. There's probably a couple of players who will be in there. The likes of Dan Barlaser, Alex Gilbert could come into that team. Could well be that Alex Gilbert comes in instead of Mika Hamilton, potentially, or maybe Sonny Finch won't be in there. I'm not entirely sure what will happen there, but this is the team that I've gone with. So I want to know what you think about the players who could be playing for their future against Doncaster. Drop yourselves into the comments below. Let me know what you think on these players and whether they've got a future at Middlesbrough. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe as well, and I will catch up with you next time.